everyone, it's Mike here. So welcome to day one of my 7 days of Halloween series for 2020. But it's also the first Saturday in a brand new month, so it's also time for a brand new art challenge over on our Mission Inspiration Facebook group. So I'm going to be combining both together. So I'll switch over to my overhead camera and show you what I'm going to create. Okay, so day one also falls on to the Mission Inspiration for October, the first Saturday in a brand new month. And traditionally for October, I normally do two versions of the Mission Inspiration prompts. One which is very much Halloween and one which isn't Halloween. That's version one, which is a autumn kind of fall one that was done by Linda. So for this one, I'm obviously going to be using my Halloween version, version 2. So your spell ingredients on this one is blood orange, blood orange, ultraviolet, and slime green. Now, in real life, this is a bit more purpley than it is blue. I think the camera is picking up more of a blue tone on this one, but actually it is more purpley in real life. It's just the way that the camera's picking up the colour. Your theme obviously is things that go bump in the night, and your worms for inspiration, yes it does say worms. Worms for inspiration are bones, poison, fright, midnight and witch. So there you go, that is your spooky Halloween version for October 2020. So I normally do my art journal pages for the Mission Inspiration in my circle journal, and this month will be no different. But because I'm getting towards the end of the book, because we're getting towards the end of the year, and there's two versions for October, I forgot, so I'm going to put version 2 spread across these two back pages. I've kept that one blank for version 1, but version 2 is going to go here, and I've cut that out a piece of mixed media cardstock, which will be, when done, folded and stuck onto that side to create the page for October for version 2, the Halloween version. So there you go. I've also got a sheet of black cardstock which I'm also going to be using for this project. So colour wise, let's just bring the card back in. So we've got blood orange, ultraviolet, and we've got slime green. So for my blood orange, I'm using my Americana Deco Art Bright Orange, and for the ultraviolet I'm going to use Dioxazine Purple, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, which is a darkish kind of purple, and for the slime green I'm going to use Sour Apple, which is a really nice kind of Halloweeny type green. If I'd had some of those neon kind of colours, I think I would have probably chosen to go with some neon colours for this, but I don't, so those are the ones I'm going to go for. And because it's Halloween, you can't really do Halloween without having black or white or a mixture of the two. So I've also pulled out white, grey and black. The black is ebony black or lamp black. The grey is slate grey, so there's a hint, just a hint of purple in there. And obviously I've got Snow White or Titanium or Titanium White, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So those are going to be the colours that I'm going to be using for my art journal page. So let's just move that out of the way. The black cardstock is going to be used a bit later on. So here is my circle. Let me just zoom out just a little bit. There we go. So you can see exactly what I'm doing. So there's my circle. It's a 9-inch circle. Which fits inside my 9-inch circle journal, so it's deliberately done that way. And this background I'm going to build up. I'm going to create a kind of motherboard kind of thing using my brayer and also some household kind of stamping stuff. So to start off with, I'm going to use the black as my background, because it's going to be a fairly darkish kind of page. So I'm going to put some of that lamp black onto my little craft mat, just work out the colour on my brayer, and then I'm going to just start off the page and just start dragging it on. Pick it up And I want to go fairly kind of heavy-ish, but I don't want to go too... I don't want complete total coverage. So I'm just going to brayer it on and go in different directions as well, because that adds some nice kind of texture into your background. When you start running out, just grab a bit more. Yeah. And then, of course, you can pick it up, turn your circle around if you want to, which I'm going to do. Just grab that, turn it round, and then we can start brayering down, pick up some of that colour and start applying it in the different areas where we're going to need it. And just keep on going until you're happy. I'm going to add a little bit more in. Obviously, if you've got black gesso, you could use black gesso, or if you've got, I don't know whether you could use black soot distress oxide to spray onto your page as well. I'm not sure whether or not the water that's in the oxide, whether that would react and give you a deep black, or whether you'd get more of a grey. I've never actually used the black soot distress oxide spray, so see, I want some more in that middle. It's dark without being too dark, because you've still got those tones of white showing through, but that's better. Let's turn that around. And of course, doing an art journal page like this, it's very much like cooking. You add your ingredients, your colours to your own personal taste. You know, some people would have stopped well before I did, or have done, on this background. But others will probably think, not black enough, not dark enough. But that's the beauty of doing stuff like this, is that you can do it to your own specifications. Right, the next I'm going to add some of that purple. I'm not a huge fan of purple, but in situations like this and pages like this, it's a necessity. And because it's a dark one, it's not an opaque colour. So you might have to put on a little bit more than you anticipate if you're using the same paint as I am. But obviously all paints are different, all brands will have different properties. So depending on what brand you're using, will probably react differently to the one that I've got. If you're using your Dilutions paints, they may be a bit more opaque. Still got quite a lot of that white showing through, and you can probably not really see the purple just yet showing through on that black background. If I go like that, that's definitely picking up more of the purple that I can see anyway. Okay, I'm hoping the camera's picking that up. There you go, you can see more of that purple now. So I'm going to dry that off quickly, get this black and purple cleaned up, and then we'll come back in for that orange and the green. Alright, my circle is dry. Now you can probably just pick out those purple tones in that background, particularly in these kind of areas here where it's a little bit lighter, where that white was showing through. And just where my thumb is here, you've got some nice kind of purpley tones showing through. So now I've got a clean mat, I'm going to mess it up again. And oh look, it means that I've never used this sour apple before because it's still got the cellophane, which means that it's brand new. Who'd have thunked it? A brand new colour. To me anyway. I thought I'd used all the colours at least once by now. Alright, so let's see. Give it an extra shake since it's never been used, just to mix up the binder and the pigment. Let's bring some of that colour down, and then let's see how it's going to react onto the background. Ah, look at that. Excellent. A bit more opaque than the purple, which is just what we want. And then just a little bit more up there. Cool. Liking that. So again, I want to dry between layers to avoid getting mud. Okay, so the green paint on the mat has miraculously disappeared, and I'm liking the way that the green, or those lines, those kind of like wavy lines that have been built up with the action of the brayer, are started to show. It kind of looks like a little bit like lichen. Now you can just still see the purple just showing through, and you've got that nice kind of slimy green in the forefront. So I now just want to do the same thing again, this time with the bright orange, to get our kind of Halloweeny colours. I'm not going to use a huge amount of this orange, and I've got the brayer, haven't cleaned it, so I think that possibly this orange might not be as opaque as you think. So we just want some little kind of orangey highlights in there. And I think that will do. So again, I'll get these dried off. As always, art journal pages are 90% drying time when you're using paints and wet mediums, but this shouldn't take too long. So all the colours are now dry now, so you can start to see there's still bits of purple showing through. You've got that lovely slime green, that ultraviolet, and the what did I call it? The blood orange. There you go. But there's still also flecks of white in that background, so it's not completely dead and flat. But I do want to add a little bit more white in that forefront, in the foreground. So for that, I've got some acrylic paint, some of the white titanium white. The white titanium white. Can't really have any other colour white, can you? It's either titanium white or it's not. And I've got a piece of sponge. Now this was a piece of packaging that came in something that I ordered from the internet, and I thought that actually it was quite a nice kind of pattern, like an egg box kind of pattern. I thought if you could use that in the background just to lighten up areas. It's like bubble wrap but not, but it adds a little bit of that white back into the foreground again without being too oppressive. There we go. That's all you need to do, so you don't really need a lot. So let's get it all dried off, and I think we're ready to make a start on our focal points. Okay, so now that it's dry, it has actually kind of died down a little bit, so it's become more of a background colour than anything else. So what I want to do is just add some stronger kind of like highlights into that background. So again, I'm going to grab the white paint and some water just to loosen it up a little bit, and I've got my fan brush, my trusty fan brush, and I'm going to just add some real kind of stronger kind of splatters into that background, almost kind of giving it a night sky look, but I want some proper heavy splatters. That'll do. That's more like it, giving it more of a Halloweeny kind of flavour rather than a night sky flavour. So let's get that dried off, and then I think I'm going to be happy. Okay, so while the background, well, that's actually dried now, so we can move on to the next step. I'm just going to put that to one side. Next step then is my focal point. So I've taken some copy paper and I've just sketched out a kind of gingerbread man shape, which is also kind of like the shape you'd have for like a zombie doll pincushion. Now this is another shape that I've got from a template from my good friend Gina, which you'll see a little more of this in another video on another day. So I got this to start off with. And so I've got the kind of sizing from Gina, and I thought, well, I want the arms more upwards and I want it a bit thinner because I'm not going to be cutting this out of cloth and stitching it up. I'm going to be just cutting it out of card and embellishing it a different way. So I can afford to make it a bit more thinner, so that's what I did. So I sketched it out first on a bit of tracing paper, and then I scanned it, cleaned the lines up a little bit on the computer, and then I printed it off a couple of times, one on paper and one on well, a couple of times on card just to get it right for the template. So I then cut it out. Ta-da! There's one I prepared earlier in true TV style, and that's what I'm going to use this black card for. So I've got a Stabilo All pencil, and I'm going to trace around, just lightly go around the template, trying to get the best kind of line without going too mad or wild all the way around. I don't have to go too bright because I am going to be using this to cut out. So I'm just letting the edge of the paper guide the pencil. I'm not pushing very, very hard. And as long as you take it slow and steady and don't try and rush it, and I'm going a little bit faster than I would normally because obviously it's not the most exciting thing to watch somebody do, is draw around a shape. So I'm trying to do this kind of as quick as I can. There we go. So if I lift that off now, I've kind of got that shape, which I now want to cut out. Now I'm either going to do this with a scalpel or with a pair of scissors. It's kind of round enough to do with a pair of scissors. So there's one I did earlier, just as a tester, just to make sure that it was going to work. Because the last thing I wanted to do was to start using that pencil and find it didn't write properly on the black card. So preparation is the key. So I'm just going to cut round, and I'm just going to try and stay just that little bit inside that white line. Right, so because watching somebody cut out isn't exactly the most interesting thing, let's just speed along and I'll join with you once my little man shape is all cut out. Okay, so there's my little man shape. Now, because I used a Stabilo All pencil, which is a watercolour pencil, if I just rub really, really lightly around the edges, that white pencil is going to disappear. All gone. See, it will just lift off. That will only work for the Stabilo pencils, the water soluble ones. When I purchased my black one, I also made sure that I got a couple of white ones too, because I knew they would come in handy one day, sooner or later. And sure enough, they did. There we go. So that's going to be a little bit damp, so I need to just dry that off a little bit. He's starting to curl, bless him. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so I'll have a bit of a tidy up because some of those black fibres have come off and I've still got a little bit of paint on this mat that should have come off. So let me just have a quick tidy up and a mouthful of coffee and I'll be straight back. So my little doll shape is all nice and dry. There's a couple of kind of sharpish corners that I don't really want, so I'll just smooth those off, and I can always just diffuse it a little bit just by rubbing the edges with an emery board, but that should be okay. Now, do you remember the sketch that I did earlier? I did print two out, one for the template and one to cut up. There you go, and I've cut out the skull and the pelvis shape, and I've also just taken the holes out from the skull, because what I want to do is I want to glue that in place down there. I think I'm going to swap that around just so it fits the shape a bit better. That's it. So they're going to become the part of my little dolly. And we're just going to put some dry glue behind those. I could have left the eye. Oh my goodness, I don't think there's anything left in that one. I'm going to the bin. I'm sure I've got a couple more kicking about somewhere. There we go. A little bit more glue there. So I'm just going to add the glue onto the back. Just some dry glue, because I don't want to have any more or too long kind of drying time on these, because I'm going to have to do another fast forward in a little while on one of the next steps, so I don't want to do too many fast forwards in one video. So let's just add glue all the way around there, around the eyes, and I've tried to make the skull kind of shape not scary, but not too cute either. So I kind of tried to strike that happy balance between scary and fun. Non-threatening, I suppose, is what you could class it as. There we go. So that's my little skull figure. Now, let's just bring that drawing back in. So you can see that I've also drawn in some kind of lines just to signify where the bones are going to go. Sort of. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pierce. I've got a pricking mat here and I'm going to use the template that I had and I'm just going to lay it over the top like that, and I'm going to just pierce, just going down. I'm not going to do every single one. And then I'm going to do the same at this side where we've got the 3 dots to signify kind of like the rib cage. And then the same thing at this side. And if you haven't got like a pokey tool like this, you could just use a needle or a pin. So if I lift that up now, you can see we've got all those holes in there, which are kind of cute. And then I'm just going to go along, just make sure I line it up properly. A bit bigger than the template because we did go around the outside. And then just like so, and then do the same thing at this side. Always adjust as you go in if you don't think you've got the right kind of space in, and then do the same thing down on the legs. These were just as a kind of a guide as to where I wanted them to be. There we go. So now, if I bring in some white card, there you go, you can see all those dots that I've kind of pierced through, which is just perfect. So we can just go back through and just open. I think I've missed. No, that's fine. Yep, that one there, that's okay. So I pretty much know where I'm going. Okay, so the next step then is I want some thread. So, do you remember this? I talked about it a while ago, which is my little needle case where I keep all of my sewing needles, different sizes and shapes, all in one place and safe, and I'm not going to stab myself when I try and use them. So I've got some embroidery floss, which I've kind of already threaded a little bit on. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and follow, whoops, it's going to be fairly sort of easy to do. So you go in, I haven't knotted it, not just yet, so I'm going to go in and round. So when I'm happy about where it's going to go, so I can do that, knot it off. With this embroidery floss, I'm going to go just do a couple of knots just to make sure that it's thick enough not to go through the hole. So just, there we go, that should be big enough just to hold it. And I'm not going to pull really, really hard. Definitely not going to pull really hard. So I'm just going to work my way down and round. Whoops, look, schoolboy mistake. Because it's card, it's a lot easier to handle than fabric. And if you're wondering what kind of needles I'm using, these are Japanese, if I can pronounce it, sashiko needles. They have a larger kind of eye, which enables you to put your thread through, your embroidery thread, but they are still sharp, which is what I found the problem was when I was doing other projects, was that the bigger the eye on the needle, I found that the needle was blunt and wasn't piercing where I wanted it to go. So I asked my good friend Gina in America, Gina Aarons, who knows about these kind of things, and she said, what you want are Japanese sashiko needles. Well, fair enough. If anybody's going to know, it's going to be her. So there we go. So there's his spine. So just to kind of finish that off, that little bit, I'm just going to tie that off in a little bit of a knot. And that hopefully will hold it, but I could always add a little bit of tape on the back just to hold it in place. Or add some glue just to keep it in position. So that's the first bit. So what I'll do, this is going to take me a little bit of time, so what I will do is I'll pop it onto fast forward, and you'll see me stitching it all up, probably stabbing myself in my fingers. I may even draw blood, and I'll join with you again once I've got all the thread and the needles all done. Okay, so that should be the last part of the stitching. Ha! I think he looks really, really cute. So, just want to do a little bit of a tidy up now. Put this needle, cotton and thread away, and then we're back to the art journal page. So I'll be right back once I've had a bit of a tidy up. Okay, so what I've done is I've brought out some double-sided sticky tape. This is the finger lift tape, which has only got tape in the centre, which makes it easier to lift the edges and peel off. So what I've done is I've put some of that double-sided tape running up the legs, up towards the head, and then right the way across the arms. So I can flick it over and then I can position it on my page where I want it to go, probably about there, and then just gently push some pressure down, and that's going to stick my little voodoo doll onto the page. Now, I did print off the quote for it, Whodoo, that voodoo, a while ago, but I can't remember what I did with it, so I've just had to quickly print it off again. Completely disappeared. No idea where it went. So I'm just going to gently rip the paper, because obviously it wouldn't look right if you had straight lines on this one. So just gently go all the way around. So who needs scissors when you've got fingers, eh? Who needs them? And then let's just take that a little bit closer. Let's just see where they're going to go on the page. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty much where it needs to be. So let's get some distress ink and let's just grunge up those edges. It kind of helps blend the edges into the page then. I think this ink pad must be Ian's because it's rather juicy. I know he's been attacking my re-inkers recently, so I think I've probably picked up the wrong one. Kind of gives it that burnt edge, doesn't it? Like the old treasure map kind of burnt edge. Okay, glue stick. Let's get some of that glue on there. Gloopy glue. So Whodoo. Just realised I've missed something from the page. There's another element that I haven't stuck on yet, but we'll do that last then. So Whodoo, that, voodoo. Now I know it comes from a song, I'm not really sure where it came from, but I have to do a little bit of research, I think. Or, you lovely peeps who probably will know all these things, I'm sure you're going to tell me, or will tell me, in the comments section below. Who do that voodoo that you do so well? I think the quote is. Right, let's get rid of that. Now then, where's that last element that I seem to have misplaced? There it is. There it is. The bone. Of course. I nearly had to stop the video then to go and search for it, but I just spotted it. I kept it somewhere safe. So I'm going to add that just into his hand there. Like so. because we needed a bone in there. Get rid of that sewing kit a minute, and then one of the other things we need to do just quickly, I'm hoping, I've just put glue. Look at that, did you see that? That's just one of those, what we call the buggeration factor. I just managed to get the glue and stick the pen in it. Crumbs. Talk about clumsy. Okay, so I'm hoping that this pen is going to work. So what I want to do is just add now some real fine faux stitching, because there's no way I could have done it this small all the way around. Just add in a little extra details. This is the reason why I left that space around the top. Hoping the pen's going to last the whole journey all the way around the doll. I like it a lot. So there you go, that's one mission inspiration page for version 2. So we've got blood orange, ultraviolet and slime green colours in the background. We've got things that go bump in the night, and what's better than a voodoo doll, even if it is a cute one like that one. And the worms for inspiration, we've got bones. Ta-da! Stitched and holding one. So I think mission inspiration for October, version number 2 at least, is complete. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me do that art journal page. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and don't forget, if you want to join in with the mission inspiration over on our Facebook group, I'll pop a quick visible link in the well, on screen now, but there is a clickable link in the description area below, so all you have to do is just click on the link and then just ask to join. And then we have the main mission every month, which is on the first Saturday of each month, and then we have a mid-month mini mission, which is usually a fortnight after mid-month, hence the name. So like I said, hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you all again in the next one for day number 2. Bye for now.